Hey everyone, it's Jeannie here. And today I'm so glad to be joined by an award-winning worship leader. She is just well known in the Latin community, but she is truly a woman of God. I am so excited to talk about her upcoming tour, her album, and everything the Lord is doing in her life. Christine De Clario, thank you so much for joining me.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me, Jeannie.
Yes, this is exciting. I was listening to the worship album this morning, the Spanish one, and just it's so powerful.
Mm,
I know as worship leaders, because I'm a worship leader too, what we try to do is prepare the atmosphere, set the atmosphere, welcome in our Lord,
yeah.
and I find it so refreshing when I listen to music that I don't have to do the work. Like I can just
hmm
listen, and you are ushering the presence of God. So thank you for that.
Mm,
Just wanted to say
thank
that.
you. I really appreciate those words. Thank you so much.
I mean it. So let's talk about the you have an upcoming tour, Hasta Poder
Yep.
Ver tour. Talk to
Hasta
us a
poder
little bit about.
ver.
Yes, and for those for our viewers who are not Spanish and have no idea what we just said, kind of explain a little bit about just that and the title and just the heart
hmm
behind it.
Well, Hasta poder ver is also the title of my new project. And it has an English counterpart that was released simultaneously called All That Remains. So if you don't really understand the whole Spanish thing, go look for it in English. There's an alternative for you.
That's awesome.
All That Remains, Christine de Clario. So you can call this the All That Remains Spanish tour. And there we have it. This album, project, season, worship environment for me has a very, very strong deposit of healing. And I say that because the group of songs that's in this project particularly um, are the songs that came out of a very arduous journey with mental health recovery and inner healing, and quite literally coming to the very end of myself and having to forcefully let the Lord intervene in my healing, peel away a major layer of my brokenness to reveal his character in me. And very long story short, I started off as a little girl in New York. I was born in Yonkers, New York, raised there until I was 7. By the time I was 5, I had already been sexually abused. By the time I was 6, my father passed away. He had lots of addictive tendencies and he had complications due to alcoholism, and he died. By the time I was 7, I was moved from New York to Puerto Rico, major culture shock with a new family, a new environment, a new language. It was a lot.
Wow.
Growing up, I faced a very, very difficult ugly duckling phase. I had some deformities with my teeth. I was super, super white and fair-skinned and green-eyed, but my hair was like super Afro-Caribbean. And so just not being able to fit in any way, shape, or form with anyone. Being bullied as a kid because I was so different. Then, going through puberty and all the things that were ugly. Now we're like, wow, this is exotic. And then getting all this male attention when the hormones are running rampant, finally falling for a guy, having a bunch of daddy issues, and allowing this guy to fill all of them in a very unhealthy way. That relationship breaking, my life breaking with it,
Mm.
and me going all out in a very passive aggressive way while being the worship leader of my church.
Wow.
Whenever I was away in college, I was leading a life that was absolute opposite to what a child of God does because I was so broken. And frankly, I was just angry at the world and at God because of all the brokenness that I was enduring, and I didn't have an outlet to heal it. Or at least I didn't know I had an outlet to heal it. Fast forward a couple years after leading like a covert double life, I hit rock bottom. I was depressed. I was suicidal. And I gave God a last minute request, which was really more like an ultimatum, where I was like, listen, if you're there, if you exist, no, 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 no. Super snarky. Uh, I wish I could go back and be more respectful to the Lord in hindsight, but He is so good and so kind that he doesn't care if our tone is not okay.
Right.
He cares if our heart is open. And he'll
Yeah.
come in if we open the door, even if we slam it open, he will still come in. Um, so in August of 2003, I had a major come to Jesus moment, quite literally. And I decided to dedicate my life to the Lord because he did intervene. He did show me that he loved me. He showed me in a very grand way where this lady that I had never seen before came into this restaurant where I was to bring me a specific message from the Lord. And it felt like she had been following me for the last 3 months of my life. She had so
Wow.
much prophetic gifting and discernment that she just knew. And it was the Lord showing me, yeah, my eye is on you. I just need you to open up. So I did open up. And I wrote a book about that part of my story. It's called The Prodigal Heart. And I shortly after that met and fell in love with who's my husband today. We did ministry, started ministry together from the point we were engaged, been doing ministry together for about 18 years now. And
Wow.
so a decade into our marriage, we started, wanting to have kids and settle down and grow the family. And I got diagnosed with infertility.
Wow.
Chronic endometriosis that I had suffered debilitating pain from had pretty much rendered my womb dead. The so much scar tissue and damaged tissue, it just wasn't letting me get pregnant, and it probably would never have. And 2 years of a arduous process of faith stretching and surrender, laying quite literally my child, my unborn child, at the altar of the Lord for him to do with it whatever he will. And when I learned to surrender that desire to be a mother, God was so kind again, and he healed me in a very supernatural way. And quite literally, in the words of the doctor that did a surgery on me because they were going to fix it and then they couldn't find anything. It's like, well, you have a new womb. It
Wow.
felt like I was looking at a teenage womb. It's
Wow.
new, and you're ready to conceive a child. And I did shortly after conceive my first miracle baby, Ian Anthony, who's 4 today.
Oh.
Um, and when Ian was 6 months old, I conceived Kenzie, my overabundance.
What?
My second miracle baby, Kenzie, is 3. They're 16 months apart. Not intended. That was kind of a heavenly sabotage. Um, but I wouldn't have it any other way because they are quite literally the embodiment of God's grace and mercy and promises
Mm,
fulfilled over me. Um, and then I had to go through a very, very, very uphill, steep valley of shadows. I fell into a terrible postpartum depression after I
mm,
had my second child. I was depleted in every way, shape, or form. My mind was depleted, my heart was depleted, my body, my hormones, my chemistry. I was fully depleted. I had not learned that no is not a bad word.
mm.
I had not learned to give from what I had. And for
Yeah.
years, I had been giving from what I didn't have. And I was
Mm,
running myself completely dry. And in postpartum depression, I became suicidal again. And that
mm.
was really hard part because shame was so loud. Shame kept me a prisoner of my silence, but it screamed at me every day. What are people going to think? That
Yeah.
you get up on altars and stages and you preach life, but everything that is in you cries out death.
Mm.
What are people going to say about you? What are people going to say about the God that you preach?
Wow.
And I didn't dare tell anybody.
Mm,
And I was confronted by a midwife at my last appointment, 6 weeks. My body was doing great. And after she, filled her little chart and was like, yeah, you're almost ready to be discharged and da 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 da, you're doing great. And then she sat me down and I know moved by the Lord. She said, how's your heart? What's going on? What's happening inside of you? Tell me. And that question made a big difference. And I like to believe that that question saved my life.
wow.
Because from the moment I conceived my first child until I had my second, no one had asked me that question.
Hmm.
What's going on inside of you? How are you doing, Mama? And when she did, I remember I couldn't hide. She could see right through me. She's a highly discerning, interceding woman. And I just started bawling. And she started bawling with me. And I told her everything I was feeling. I'm like, I feel this way, I feel that way, I feel like a failure, I feel inadequate. I feel sad when I shouldn't be sad. I feel like an ingrate because I have these two beautiful miracles, but I don't know what to do with my feelings. I feel like I can't sleep. I'm anxious all the time and I'm crying all the time. And I have to hide in the bathroom so nobody can see me because I don't want to feel judged by people that come to visit or my family or whatever. And I struggle with the thought of living tomorrow.
Mm.
And she just cried with me, held my hands, and she said, "Sweetheart, you have postpartum depression." And it's really, really, really deep. And I know because I went through it with all my children.
Mm.
And there is a way out. She gave me a card. This is a therapist. She deals with issues of postpartum and trauma and all of it. I will be calling you and texting you every hour until you tell me that you have an appointment with her.
Hmm.
And she did.
That's
And
awesome.
I had, even with my inner healing journey up until that point, which had already been of quite depth, I didn't know that I didn't know that I would be capable to undergo like a mental health formal in-office therapist. I
Right.
don't like that's not for me, you know. I'm
Yeah.
okay. I don't need to sit with
Well,
anybody and like tell them my life.
especially as believers, because we have the Holy Spirit. We're
Yeah.
like, surely the Holy
Hmm.
Spirit can supernaturally help what's going on inside. Could talk a little bit to that because I know,
Hmm.
especially people in ministry. You said a bunch of key things you didn't want to share it. There was shame attached to it, all
Hmm.
these things. And I mean, we all lived through 2020 through 2020 recently,
Yeah.
and I feel like we were all touched. I don't care who
Hmm.
you are, we were all touched. From the highest ranking person in the church to just someone who loves Jesus.
Yeah.
But so I feel like your journey, although it's postpartum depression specific right now, but it's relatable.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much that we could say, but I will say this. There is a stigma within the church in general. Not everyone
Mhm.
thinks this way, but the general stigma within the church is if you have depression, you're in sin. Fix your sin and your depression will go away. Or if
Mhm.
you have anxiety, well, that's a spiritual attack. It's not of you, it's of the devil.
Mhm.
Or, you're having suicidal thoughts, go pray so that they can cast the demons out of you because that's a demon.
Mhm.
And while that may be true for some people, it is not a general rule of thumb that we can judge with because we, when they asked Jesus, what do we need to do to be saved? Jesus' answer was, love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul and all your mind and all your strength. That means we have four integral parts within our being that need to be fully there so that we can fully, with all of it, love the Lord our God. But that doesn't end there. And then love others as you love yourself. So if I have dyslexia, so sometimes I look at things from the back forth.
Mhm.
And if I look at that scripture flipped, it's love yourself so that you could love others well,
It's
God
great.
included, so that you can love Him with all your strength, your body, your physical, with all your mind, your thought process, with all your soul, your emotions, and with all your heart, your will.
Mm. So good.
That's been transforming to me because I was not loving God with all and everything because I was broken in all and everything. And
Right.
one parallels onto the other. If your
So
body's
good.
not okay, your mind is not okay, and your soul is not okay, and your spirit's not okay. And if your spirit's not okay, then your body's not okay. And we can't separate one from the other. And sometimes as Christians, we take really, really good care of the things of the spirit, but we often neglect the things of the body and the things of the soul and the things of the heart.
Mhm.
And absolutely in that process, we neglect the love for others as we love ourselves.
Mhm.
So that's what this journey has uncovered for me. And that's hopefully what can become the center point of what I teach. Okay, you want to advance in your ministry, you want to advance in your walk with God, you want to advance in having a good relationship with your family or having good physical health. Okay, how are those four elements in you, and are you really able to give them fully? If not, it's okay. Let's get it healed.
Yeah.
Let's go through the journey. Let's walk through some difficult conversations and some difficult discoveries, but let's do it to heal so that you can become the very best version of yourself possible. And that way glorify the Lord in a greater way, you know?
Yes.
And so I am redirecting all of my negative feelings, which in this process I've had to sit with quite a lot and just not hide from them, but like, okay, anger is a valid emotion. Hate is something that we do feel when we are wronged. Uh, Frustration is a valid emotion. Disappointment is also a valid emotion. Well, redirecting all of those negative emotions to who they're due, which is the enemy.
Yeah.
And I'm mad because the enemy nearly took the mother away from my children.
Mm. Mm.
And that's a no-no.
Yeah.
So Mama Bear is awake,
Mm.
and I am adamant about telling the world that mental health is a thing. We want to talk about pandemic. The greatest pandemic of our generation is lack of mental health,
Right.
especially in the church. The statistics of pastoral suicide is unacceptable when we have hope in Jesus Christ. And so I'm on a mission to tell people, everybody who will listen, that there is a way out, there is a way through, and the Lord does help us. We just need to go through the journey.
I love it. How are we gonna see that in the tour? Are you gonna do you put on your preacher hat as well as your worship
I
leader hat?
do. Inadvertently, I do. And I love to speak and I love to testify. The people that come out to my shows know that I will have a testimony to share of something because the Lord does something every day. And I do share in speaking as well. And these songs are so special because they are the songs of the journey. And this whole project is a project that I've been so sure about. And this tour is something that I've been so sure about that's going to bring blessing to a lot of people. And it's March 4th through the 20th in a city near you. Hasta Poder Ver tour, All That Remains, with Evan Kraft.
I love it. Are you looking forward to just getting back on the road after being we were all trapped in for so long?
Which is a sign of my healing because I was so burned out from the road. I'm like, I don't
You
want
needed
to tour again.
it.
This is so much. And I toured in the middle of postpartum depression. It was so
Wow.
hard. Like every day was such a battle. 24 hours was daunting for me to
Yeah.
have to survive. And so after having sit with the journey, I can tell that I am achieving a lot of healing just for the fact that I want to get back out there. Hmm.
Beautiful. Do you advise other people to get therapy and things like that are struggling? Honestly, I'm a pastor's wife, and
Hmm.
um, I mean, I just think every person that I come in contact with is struggling with either depression or anxiety
Yep.
right now. So
I absolutely recommend it. After I've been through it and I destigmatized my own thoughts with it, I was able to understand that the same way if you have a broken arm, you go to an orthopedic surgeon who
yeah,
can help you put it back in place and operate it. If you have a broken mind and your patterns are showing it, sit with someone who is spirit filled but also knows the mind. And
amen.
God has gifted so many mental health professionals with the ability to do that. I highly recommend it. Even if you're not going through a crisis, do it for maintenance. Go once a month. Treat it
Agreed.
like a phone bill or something, and sit, talk through. If you interact with people, you're going to need therapy at some point. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's so true. Well, I mean, you're amazing. You were able to share your testimony from, early till now. I'm just so grateful for what God is doing. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Just that in the world we will have trouble. That's what Jesus promised. But we have the power to take heart. and know that He has overcome the world for us. And He's already done it. He's won, He's overcome. And that's what makes us more than conquerors. And we can get over the humps of life and see His glory through it all.